Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for the AEW Dynamite Wrestling Inc. after show, and have we got a good one for you. We've got championship matches, we've got tag team matches, and we even have a big announcement about a returning superstar. But before we get into all that, let me introduce the crew here. I'm Jack Farmer, being joined by none other than Jimmy Korderas and NYC Demon Diva Issa. Issa, on the far end of the screen here. How you doing today?
You didn't wear pink, so you're already breaking the Wednesday rules.
Listen, I live by my own rules. You can't put me in a box, Issa.
I'm doing good, Jack. How are you? How was your weekend at Double or Nothing, Jack?
It was really fun. It was cool experience getting to be there. When I was there in the media scrum, right, I'm sitting there 3 rows back over to the side a little bit. I'm looking up and Tony Khan's right there, and I'm looking up at him and I smile, and he looks over at me and he smiles and he says, "Jack Farmer, I think you should be on the Wrestling Inc. AEW after show this week." And I said, "I think that's a good idea." Now, didn't actually say that. It was more like just implied. You could kind of just feel it in the way he was looking over.
God, you are so full of
that's
it.
what happened. Didn't actually say it.
It.
Didn't say it. Just sometimes you could just read somebody, and that's what happened at that moment. We were looking. We're like, yeah, that's it.
But he didn't imply about the pink.
Yeah.
No, he did not mention it. He did not mention the pink.
I will say this is my favorite shade of pink on Jimmy. I just want to point that out. Jimmy has followed the pink rules for a couple of weeks now. This is my favorite pink so far.
Thank you.
You know, it's kind of is that like a salmon? Is that or is that just a pink? I don't know.
No, it's more of a salmon. It's nice. Yeah.
Trying to show my color wheel prowess here.
Sounds good to me.
We're very serious about our color wheels here on the Wrestling Inc. after shows. Mm-hmm. Everyone's giving me a hard time about the pink. I didn't know.
And yes, Dylan, I was considering wearing the ref shirt tonight since it was going to be Jack and Issa. I was going to be between, but you know what? I think we can play nice tonight.
Yeah. Big mistake, because I'm going to disagree with everything Issa says on purpose.
I hate you.
Oh, here we go.
I hate you. I hate you.
Ooh, look at the time.
I was so nice to you this weekend. I try to help you out, and this is how you're going to treat me? Okay, Jack, I see it.
Wow.
I gotta say, I was such a lost puppy at this thing, by the way, on the weekend.
Thing.
I had no idea what I was doing. Fortunately, everyone there was so kind. I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? But it was very fun. Everyone at AEW and the whole crew there was super friendly, and all the different media people there. It was super cool. Like, everyone was super cool. It was a great time getting to chat with all the folks there. Nice. So that was fun. And Tommy O, by the way, in the chat, met Tommy O in person. We got a photo together. He tried to run off with my press credentials, but I caught him at the last second. I kid. But Jimmy, how are you? I didn't ask you. How are you doing?
No, I'm doing great. We finally got summer up here. It feels really warm, and now we're going to complain about the heat. That's the way it is in Canada. When it's cold, we complain about the cold. When it's hot, we complain about the hot. And, of course, construction constantly. So, hey, what are you going to do?
We got some news to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had this stuff lined up. I was like, oh, we got numbers from the last WWE PLE or Tony Khan wanting to do streaming and all this other stuff. But guys, we know what we all want to talk about. We want to talk about something that happened on the show tonight. We want to talk about a special announcement from Tony Khan.
4 weeks of announcements. Finally, we get to this one.
And I could see in his eyes, even through the TV, he's like, "Jack, you're going to be on tonight, right?" And I was like, "Yes, okay, yes, I am." But then he said, "Guys, AEW Collision is going to feature the return of CM Punk, and this is going to be a powder keg of chatter. I can tell everyone in the chat. Let me know your thoughts on this. But Jimmy, I want to start with you because you're the referee. You call it down the middle. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on the return of CM Punk?
I think it's needed for the first episode because you really want to trigger your audience to tune in. And that's the important thing. You want to get them interested. And, of course, CM Punk has been in the news a lot lately. Rumors have been circulating about will he, won't he? Then all of a sudden it was out there that, hey, they came up with something, and it's a non-disclosure agreement, all this stuff that's going around. That I don't care about. I just want to see him on the show. But my curiosity is after the premiere. Yes, there's going to be an audience to tune in to see what happens, but can they maintain that audience? Because it is a tough night. Let's put it that way. Saturday nights from 8 to 10 is going to be a tough draw night. So,
yeah,
like I said, I've said it before. I don't pick sides here. I hope that all companies do well, and I hope that AEW Collision does well on Saturday nights. I've got my question marks. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Issa, this is something that as Huffman Elite Training, the chat is alluding to, CM Punk got some boos tonight, which was nice to hear, per Huffman Elite Training. A very mixed reaction from that crowd when it was announced. What are your thoughts on CM Punk?
Look, I was talking about this a little bit from a fan perspective, right? I wasn't watching wrestling back in 2011 when CM Punk was at the hottest, right? So when they announced him coming back to AEW, I was very excited to see what the buzz is all about, right? Like, what makes CM Punk such a favorite? Why do people love him? Of course, I've seen all these epic moments that he had, but I haven't seen a run, okay? So I was very excited when he got announced, and unfortunately, drama aside, brawl out aside, CM Punk had a hard time staying healthy. So my first thought was, I don't care who wants to be in the locker room with him or not. Can we keep him healthy for a good run? My second thought was, regardless of how you feel of CM Punk, me personally, the last memory of him in wrestling, I don't want it to be the press conference. So I'm very happy that he's going to come back and I can think of something else, because I would have hated for CM Punk to not ever come back, and my last memory of Punk in professional wrestling being that mess, whatever that was, right? So my curiosity is more amongst his health, because it felt like they rushed him back after that first injury. Then he got injured again. We looked like we were going to go into a program with him and MJF. Roles are reversed. MJF has the championship now. Back then he had the championship. So I'm curious about where we're going to go. Whether you like CM Punk or not, he did move the needle for AEW. He did bring ratings. He did sell tickets. He did sell pay-per-views. Is it the right choice? We will see. I mean, there's also a common denominator that we cannot deny about CM Punk being in a locker room and what it brings. Sometimes it's not all positivity. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, my thoughts on CM Punk. As a fan, I've always said I always put myself like in neutral with CM Punk. Like, I like when he's on. I don't necessarily feel like the world's falling apart when he's not on. But so I don't feel strongly one way or the other. But he does have a way of, and we talked about this a little bit on Monday, certain people can sell tickets, not just talk well, but they get people to buy in and tune in. And I feel like Paul Heyman's the best in the world at it. I think Cody Rhodes has become incredible at it as well. I think CM Punk's one of those guys. When he talks, people listen. When he says, I'm going to do something, people want to see him do it. He just has that, I don't know if it's it factor. I don't know if it's charisma. I don't know what you want to call it, but more so than just being a good on a microphone, he can sell you on tuning into something better than most people can. And I think that's why AEW should work to make this work. Now, I do always say, I don't try to pretend I know what happened with Brawl Out. I don't know whose fault was what and who did what. I don't, there's a million reports. I wasn't there. I don't know. I just always say, and I've said before, locker rooms in all sports are so important. And there's very few championship teams that have people that are causing problems in the locker room while they're winning championships. So if they can find a way to, whoever's fault it is, make the locker room work together, this is a great deal. But that'll be the trick. Can they make sure the locker room works together? And again, I don't know, maybe people say it was all made up in the first place. So maybe it was, I don't know, but
I don't know about that. I don't think it was all made up in the first place, but anybody who's been in the business for any length of time can tell you that bringing in some real life animosity into a storyline can work from a business perspective, as long as both parties involved are willing to do business for the right reasons. Hey, you're getting into the wrestling business, yes, because you love it, but also because you want to make a living at it and making some good money. And if you guys can just put it to the side for the 15 or 20 minutes you're out there, and draw an audience, like you said, get people invested in the story and, do business. You guys cannot like each other backstage and just stay away from each other, dress in separate lockers, whatever the case may be. But when it comes to doing business, you can do business.
Yeah, so this is where people saying this is so and so's fault or so. We don't know. We don't know, and I don't think it was all made up either. I'm just trying to make all the conspiracy theorists feel happy. Like, I don't know whose fault it is. It could be fake. It could be real. I don't know. I'm just trying to say I don't know what happened. So whatever it was, as long as they're happy once they get there, as long as they can work together, great. But I agree with you, Jimmy. I think that adds. I would be lying if I said I'm not interested to see what happens if CM Punk and Kenny Omega had a match. I'd be like, oh, I'd be super invested if they had a rivalry, or if CM Punk got a tag team partner to face the Young Bucks. I'd be like, oh my goodness, I gotta watch this now. So yeah, it totally makes sense in that if they can find a way to make it work.
Yeah, I just want also, and to Lego's point in the chat, I just need Collision to be taken more seriously than what they did with Rampage. Rampage started this way, right? I'm having a little bit of deja vu. Sorry, I have to say it. Rampage started with CM Punk coming back. It's going to be in the United Center. We got over 1 million viewers. It was hot. We were excited. Nobody's watching Rampage. They're putting no effort into Rampage. I don't want Collision to turn into this. And if I don't like the time spot in which Rampage is on, I feel even worse about Collision. I'm sorry. Collision, for me, it feels like it's going to be the Sunday morning over coffee show. I don't know who's going to watch it live on a Saturday night. I am willing to give up one Saturday a month for a pay-per-view, but every Saturday, that's a tough ask.
Yeah, especially, because I want to stay married, as I like to say.
Yeah, 100%. Saturday is very, very tough to vote to a show every single, because it's not like college football where it's for a few months a year and then you take it off. It's every single Saturday.
And how many are they going to be live and how many are they going to pre-tape? That's another question. Because with the pay-per-views, with the PLEs, with the traveling, I'm very curious about how it was. Shout out to Jay in the chat who said, can we get a DVR? I literally said I'm watching it on Sunday. How do you think I'm watching it? On a DVR, buddy. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
She's VHS taping.
I am. I'm going to, remember those days? The struggle was real.
Yep. Oh my goodness, those were the days. Yeah, you had to fast forward through the commercials the hard way. But yeah, if you didn't have to tape things on a VHS, then you don't understand. But yeah, and we'll see how it goes. Saturday is going to be brutal, and that was actually something they talked about in the scrum. Is they asked what Tony Khan was talking about, what they expect for ratings. He was not quick to put a number out there, and I don't blame him because I think maybe this is also why Warner Brothers was okay to extend them and give them this time, because I think they understand that it's getting DVR'd too. I think there's got to be a level of people because I know Rampage. I haven't watched Rampage live in a long time. Anything I watch of Rampage is DVR'd, and honestly, a lot of SmackDown I watch is DVR'd because it's Friday night. I'm not a lot of times I'm watching that later. Much like Issa said, it for me that is the Saturday morning wrestling.
Yeah, we're gonna have now something to watch over coffee for the weekends. Rampage on Saturday and Collision over Sunday. I just don't want that to. I wish we had ratings for the DVR numbers, but it's so hard, and that's why I'm not big on ratings. And I know a lot of people want to act like they're experts of it. The way we're consuming content nowadays is so different than back in the day where we were VHSing. I know we were just joking about this, but it is. You had to tune in and watch these things live back in the day. We don't do that anymore. This, not to go off topic, but this Jimmy Uso Roman Reigns super kick had 10 million views in less than 24 hours. That doesn't count towards the people who tuned into Peacock. It doesn't mean that 10 million people didn't watch it. So it's very difficult to figure out how we're consuming content nowadays in order for us to really have a grasp of how many people are actually going to be watching this show.
Well, 100%. And I think that's why, a lot of people, they're wringing their hands over AEW Dynamite's numbers going down. But I think that's why Warner Brothers Discovery said, yeah, we'll pay you more money and give you more TV time, because I think they are aware of that as well. Those numbers may not be what they were, but also those numbers probably don't mean as much as they used to either.
Yeah. And I hate to sound like the old guy in the room, but I still prefer to watch it live as it happens, because when I do watch it on DVR, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I do know how to use the DVR, but when I watch it that way, I tend to fast forward at times through things as opposed to letting it happen naturally and stuff like that. And a lot of times, you try not to, but you end up seeing the results ahead of time, and
right, especially when you're on social media. I'm gonna have to start adding to my mute list some of these like related words to Collision, because I want storylines to go down. I want you to give me a reason to say, damn, I should have watched it live. But when we're creating this content and podcasting about it, it's very hard to avoid the results if we haven't seen them. I'm with you on that, Jimmy. I hate spoilers. So if I saw what's already gonna happen, unless it's a must-watch angle, I'm not gonna go back and rewatch it.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree. Honestly, I'll admit it. If I know the results of a match, the match is not interesting to me.
Right.
Even if it's a match that I probably knew the result anyway.
Right. Even if it's predictable, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, and so it's like, okay, like if I know, once I know, like even, like I'll be honest, I had a lot of Night of Champions spoiled for me, so I ended up kind of just checking out the storyline beats. Like I had to go back and watch the Roman Reigns stuff because I had to see it, but because I knew the outcomes, I was like, I don't want to watch the entire match because I know how it ends. I know what the thing is. Plus, I mean, at that point I'd watched like 1,000 hours of wrestling that weekend, and I was kind of like, okay, I need to start.
Join the club.
And that's and I hate to be this guy again, but that's another thing too. It adds another night of wrestling. And I know people, in some people's eyes, more is better, but sometimes more is not better.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, I gotta tell you something. I live stream Night of Champions, like a watch along, and I stream Double or Nothing in Battleground, and then I did the Wrestling Inc. podcast afterwards. I'm all wrestled out. I cannot wait to get this show over with and be done with wrestling for a day, because that was a lot of wrestling. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. We're done. We're wrapping up.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
But in any case, yeah, a lot of the crowd here saying they prefer to watch wrestling live. I mean, I think sports and wrestling live is just the best. Plus, you can.
I do think CM Punk will bring some curiosity. I do think CM Punk will bring some eyes at first, just to see what's going to happen and how this is going to go. And most importantly, who is he going to feud with first?
Right.
CM Punk and Drew versus the Elite. Who's Drew?
Drew McIntyre?
I think, that's the rumor out there, that he's not happy and ready to leave. So,
well, even if that's the case, he's not going to be on AEW for a while. I don't think he's there. He's not going to show up next week or anything.
Well, you never know. They do like surprises pretty much a lot every week.
I don't think they're going to get.
Drew screams WWE to me. I'm sorry, I have to say it. There are those guys that have that. You can just see a certain company with the aura that they give, and Drew McIntyre is such WWE. I hope he stays.
I mean, I think he'll end up staying with WWE, but even if he left, like there's non-compete clause time and stuff like that. It's going to be.
Did he get drafted to Raw?
He got drafted, yeah.
Yeah, but is he on Raw? Because we now have a brand new World Championship and a Seth Rollins that need tons of credible opponents. So.
He's on Raw. He was drafted to Raw, so he hasn't made his appearance yet, but technically he's on Raw.
Well, recently he had a loss in his family. All thoughts and prayers go out to him. We do know that.
Absolutely. And so we do have a couple super chats. Corey Pride saying, Jimmy, saw your Twitter. I agree. Switch titles.
Wait, what do you tweet, Jimmy?
No, it was.
Jimmy, what are you tweeting?
No, it was one of my rants where it's been a month since the draft and the women's champions switch brands, and it's like, they didn't address it. And somebody said today, well, Asuka's the champion now, and technically she's a Raw superstar.
No, she's a SmackDown superstar. I was so confused. So confused. Yeah.
It's they need to address it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I think they're just hoping we all forget and don't know this. So yeah, Jimmy, be careful what you tweet.
Yeah.
But Loud Marlins fan says, hello, Jack, Jimmy, and Issa, who is beautiful in pink. Super excited for the return of the best in the world Saturday nights. Punk versus Joe, Punk versus Miro equals $.
Take your time. It doesn't have to happen right away. That's all.
Yes.
Make sure there's a story involved instead of just, hey, these guys should be together.
Okay, but like to Loud Marlins fans' point, Samoa Joe coming out and just schooling him, like cutting a somewhat, well, he can't get too real because Punk might not like that, but like having somewhat of a promo, like, what are you doing back after you did this? Like, if somebody's gonna be intimidating about that, Samoa Joe is the name. I would love to see that.
Oh, yeah.
My only my only problem is I want Joe to get some wins. I want him to beat people. He loses all. I want him to start I don't want him to come out
If
and
you have
lose.
Punk lose that first match back, imagine though. Oh my God, let's choose violence right now. That would be so good.
Yes. Oh my God. And if it's Joe, I'd love it if Joe just beat him.
I know.
Go all Haku on him.
Just beat the.
Oh my God, the internet would lose their shit. I'm sorry, but they would. Nobody's expecting Punk to lose his first match. That would be such a shocker.
What would be great too is because it's Samoa Joe. Even if you're upset, you'd be like, "Yeah, but it was Samoa Joe." So
right, like you gotta let it go. Well, he did lose. Well, it wasn't his first real match because he had that feud with Darby. But I remember how shocked I was when he lost to MJF that first match they had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people.
I mean, I was rooting for MJF myself, but it was still shocking.
Yeah, people who debut in AEW don't actually have that good of a debut record. I don't think.
Or debut follow up.
Well, let's go ahead and get the show started. Before we do, I'd like to invite everyone to like, comment, share, subscribe, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts while you're doing it. In fact, just hit up every single place where this podcast is shown. I don't even know where they all are, but just go there and leave 5-star reviews and good positive reviews. Why don't you? I want to give a shout out to everyone here. Corey Pride, Smooth T, Secular Belt, Night One, Loud Marlins fan stalking you with the dog emoji.
Always.
Mr. X, the Sousa. Am I saying that right? Lego Brick Collector, Clay Ford, Rocky in the chat, Jeroy J. We got a lot of folks in here. Thank you so much, Amando Gomez. And also, I don't know if you listen to this or watch this later. I am Error, but I know you're in here before the show starts in the chat. Why don't you stick around for the show? Huh? Calling you out. I am Error. Yeah. We also got the Jif King, Dylan Matthews, Zook Enigma, and everyone else. Thank you guys so much. Cool. Let's get into the show. Also, I want to shout out Roman, who's watching from Issa's place as well.
He was having such a fit before we went live, but he seems to be behaving right now.
Good.
You know who didn't behave? The Blackpool Combat Club.
What a transition.
They came out. It was an exciting match. Blackpool Combat Club get the win. Issa, I want to talk to you first about first just overall thoughts on the match. The Lucha Bros, Bandito, and he wore pink on Wednesday. But specifically, one of the things I love about AEW is more so than anywhere else, you just get clash of styles matches. Like these guys are totally different, and they were not trying to be each other's style. They were doing their own thing. Issa, talk to me about that, and of course, just your thoughts on the match.
I love that you brought that up because I have always said their shows may not be perfect, or you might not enjoy the 2 hours throughout. But my God, there's something for everyone in an AEW Dynamite show. Whether you like comedy, silly things, lucha, hardcore, like it doesn't matter. You're gonna find something for every kind of wrestling fan, and I appreciate that. I'm a big fan of Bandito. He is so freaking good, and I believe that gear tonight was a shout out to Chapulín Colorado. I hope that's what that gear was, so because it was so beautiful to see. Anyways, this was fun. I thought overall this was a very, very, very fun match. I like the clash of the styles, like you mentioned. I'm not a big Wheeler Yuta fan, so seeing Wheeler Yuta get a pin on Kenny Omega was upsetting, and then seeing him get the pin again tonight, it just drives me crazy because I just want to see Bandito get a push, and he keeps putting on these bangers, but then he loses. So it drives me crazy.
And I keep saying to myself, it doesn't make sense storyline-wise at all. But I want Adam Page and Bandito to make like a cowboy-esque tag team together because they both look like they would be a fun
cowboy and El Vaquero.
Yeah, I feel like they'd be great. I think they'd be awesome together. But yeah, I really need Bandito to start getting some. That guy's so excited. The 60-second suplex, are you out of your mind? That is incredible.
It was probably the longest delay suplex I have ever seen in my life. And as much as I was like, oh my goodness, look at this. At the same time, it felt like, but what did it lead to? Other than people going, oh, wow, that was 60 count. You know what I mean?
That's enough, Jimmy.
I know, but it should lead to something that memorable to make it stand out even more. Something it has to come of it, and nothing came of it other than people popped for the move itself, which it deserved because it was incredible.
Well, Jimmy, I actually want to go to you with this next thought I had and kind of get your thoughts on this. Is for me, one of the highlights of this match was Bryan Danielson on commentary. And a lot of times when wrestlers are on commentary, and be like, they're so great, it's because they had little one-liners or zingers or whatever. But Bryan Danielson's commentary was so good because he was actually explaining why people were doing the things they were doing. And I was thinking about like how when Bandito and Yuta were hitting each other with elbows, he was saying Bandito's stronger, but Yuta is throwing them more technically, so he's able to stand with them. Or he used to not pin properly, but I trained him and he's doing better and things like this. And to me, I felt like it added so much story to these little moves that I think we otherwise would have just shrugged off.
No, it's absolutely correct what you're saying, because Bryan Danielson is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, and he can explain those things because he utilizes those techniques in his matches and can explain the story and the reasoning behind them. It's almost like a William Regal-esque type of situation. When Regal was on commentary, you always knew you were going to get a good explanation as to why. And Taz does that at times as well too, but Taz is trying to be more entertaining now as well. But Taz can do that as well. But you're right. Bryan Danielson, Bryan Danielson.
That's a tough one.
I know. Still to this day. But he did add a lot to the commentary. And that's one of the things that the commentary is supposed to do, is help tell the story in the ring when people are watching.
Yeah, I think Taz is in a tough spot because it's a 3-man booth and Excalibur does so much talking about moves that I think it kind of makes it hard for Taz to talk about moves also without sounding like we're just talking about the move instead of the story. So Taz, I think, does a good job of pivoting, but I like it when he talks about the move. I think Taz does a really good job of breaking down moves when he gets
and again, no offense to, but that's why Jim Ross was so classic, because Jim Ross was able to tell the story in the ring while the other guys would break down the technicalities. That's what works so well.
Yeah. So, but I thought he was a treat. That was a fun match. It also kind of helped just continues Blackpool Combat Club running roughshod, as they say. We get to the next segment, which is the Elite, which I like the segment, but I was a little frustrated because the whole time Bryan Danielson was like, the Elite's not here. The Elite's not here. And then we cut to the Elite. And I was like,
I know.
I was like, well, that was kind of,
I caught that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's probably some weird, like, out of order filming stuff, so I don't blame anyone, but it was also
maybe he meant like the full Elite, because we were very like they explained that Kenny Omega was not there. And I feel like Kenny Omega is the heart of the Elite. So maybe he just like, if Kenny's not there, they just assume the whole Elite is not there.
Yeah.
So,
but he's also not in Canada, Kenny.
So, and that's actually what I was going to say. By the way, if he was in Canada, you would have told us, Jimmy, because you know everybody in Canada. But the story of this was Matt basically says the BCC brings out the worst in them. And Dark Order wants to know why Adam Page is now hanging with the cool kids again. But Kenny Omega is out of the country, but not in Canada. Jimmy, this felt like it was giving us a lot of different branches of where stories could go. I get the reason why they did the whole he's not in Canada, he's somewhere else. But it feels a little like, obviously he's in Japan. Forbidden Door is right around the corner. He's got friends. Like, just say he's in Japan. Like, I feel like there's no one who's wondering where could he be right now.
No, I guess they just didn't want to say exactly where. Like, he's in Japan, going back to his roots and training with so and so to get back into the mindset and the in-ring mindset that he needs to be in, or whatever the case may be, whatever story they want to tell. But again, I guess in their mind, they left it up to people to go, I wonder where he is.
Yeah, they're not going to tell you he's in Japan because there's still 3 weeks left for the pay-per-view, and they're not going to start promoting it until a week before. So we're not going to mention Japan quite yet.
Okay.
It's but I mean, Issa, you're good with social media. Do you think maybe AEW was just trying to get us all to go on Twitter and say he's in Japan and start putting because, you know, it's kind of like when I see those video game ads on iPhone, it'll show them playing and they do stupid stuff. I'm like, well, that's stupid. This is how you beat the game. And it makes you want to download it to beat it. Is it like, do you think they're doing that? Like, obviously he's in Japan, so I'm going to go to Twitter and act like I'm really smart and talk about how this is who he's getting and build up the hype train?
But let me ask you something. Was that your first thought when you watched this segment?
My first thought was he's obviously in Japan. Even before they said
that was your first thought. Your first thought wasn't, why are we seeing barefoot again? This is like AEW has a thing with showing feet on television. Second of all, my second thought was the Dark Order out here trying to like, I guess I get it, right? Hangman Adam Page did hang out with the Dark Order, but he was elite before he was Dark Order. So why are they out here so shocked that he's hanging out with his old friends? And then I thought about where Kenny Omega was. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. I guess it is funny when he had his shoe off. It was like, because I get what they probably did was filmed this at Double or Nothing, but I was thinking, why did you go to the arena just to take your shoe off and get the feet off?
That was my first thought. I'm like, why are we doing more foot stuff? Like, what is going on here?
Because that's the trainer there is the guy who looks after his foot, so he had to go check up time.
I did think that visual him with all the thumbtacks on his foot was just amazing. The exploding super kick, I popped for it, but regardless, it was just like, this just seems so out of place. Like Double or Nothing was on Sunday, it's Wednesday. This guy's just now getting his foot checked. Like, I doubt that.
Yeah, my foot's still sore. Oh, there's still thumbtacks in it. But by the way, also, I know that fireworks spot probably made a lot of people upset at Double or Nothing.
I loved it. I loved it so much.
Yes, it's so stupid. I love it.
I was talking about that earlier, which it was like the Anarchy in the Arena. I loved it, but it's not a match that I can recommend to everybody. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not for everybody. I loved it. But that's not like the 4-pillar match. I almost think I will send it to everybody that say they're a wrestling fan. It was a good match. Yeah, the build-up was trash. I'll be like, don't watch the video package, just watch the match. But that Anarchy in the Arena match is not for everybody. So I like the spot, but I can understand why some people were just not into this match. I get it. It was not for everybody.
Right.
I was the I feel like such an old man when I was in the arena. I was like, when he dropped him on his foot on the tax, I was like, that's uncalled for.
I loved it. I was more upset about him damaging a perfectly good pair of shoes with the exploding kick.
As someone who was there in the trainer's room when after the Hell in a Cell match between Taker and Mick Foley and watching them pluck those thumbtacks out of Mick Foley and Foley asking, did we do this spot? Did we get to the, I'm just like, oh boy. No thanks.
Well, didn't he had his tooth up his nose like that? It was so insane, insane.
Yeah.
One of that moment will live on forever.
Absolutely.
That was absolutely incredible. But we move on and we get to Bullet Club Gold. They come out and they say that they are not done with Ricky Starks.
Oh my God.
And now they're mad at FTR also. They pretend to offer FTR a spot in the Bullet Club before jumping FTR and eventually getting chased off by Ricky Starks. Next week, we're getting Jay White versus Ricky Starks.
Right.
Jimmy, I love the Bullet Club. I love this group. I love these two guys. I think Juice feels like a early 90s throwback kind of guy. I think Jay White just seems cool and like a jerk bad guy. It's easy to hate. What are your thoughts on the Bullet Club? Gold.
Bullet Club Gold is okay. It's just the introduction, the beginnings were not what I was expecting. I wanted more out of the gate, if you know what I mean, and have build from there, as opposed to here's the introduction. Everybody knows who these guys are. Everybody in that audience their core audience that they cater to knows who they are. But there may be some people tuning in going, "Ooh, who's this guy that everybody's cheering for?" Let people get invested in them and then go forward. But I do like where they're going with them now.
Yeah, they I agree. I think they probably could have done a little bit more to introduce them, but as they are now, I'm loving it. Juice is just so over the top. He's so amped up. It's like he drank 6 Red Bulls before coming out there. He's like, Ricky! Ah! Every time he talks, I'm like, dude, you are fired up. Let's go. But Issa, I'm watching this and I'm seeing 2 guys in FTR. I'm seeing Ricky Starks, and they're chasing off 2 bad guys. And I start doing the math, and I'm like, you got to even these sides up. Do you think Bullet Club may be bringing in a 3rd member? And if so, who would it be?
Oh my God, you got me. I'm over here getting ready to talk about something else. I have no clue who they will bring, but with Forbidden Door being around the corner, I wouldn't put it past them to bring somebody from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that's what they have to do, right? I mean, I don't know if the Bullet Club, that like the other half of the Bullet Club, that's an Impact. I don't know how those contracts work, but there are some people in Impact that I would think would be interesting to add here for Forbidden Door. But yeah, I mean, you got to take advantage of this Forbidden Door coming up and start promoting it, right? Where technically speaking, in a little bit, it's about to be June. The pay-per-views this month. We got to start building it. So I wouldn't be shocked if they bring somebody from New Japan. Now, that being said, I will say that I felt like this was the biggest that Jay White has felt. I've been critical about him not feeling like a big deal and having him in the ring with FTR and having Ricky Starks be the one to come out to kind of chase him off. Finally, like, this is what I've been wanting to see Jay White. And like you said, Juice Robinson has grown on me. I think him being paired up with Jay White is helping him. But I was here for every second of this. He finally felt like, okay, this guy's a big deal and he's going after FTR. He's going after gold. That's what I wanted to see from the hottest free agent signing, Jay White. We're finally getting there. It might have taken some time, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, to both your points, it feels like if they keep this up and they revisit this rivalry down the road in a year or two, this could be a main event pay-per-view kind of rivalry. Because I think Ricky Starks is just an absolute star. If I'm I mean, I've said this before. If I'm AEW, I'm like, how do we get him into the main event picture as fast as we can without burning through people? I think he's someone you could build a company around. Ricky Starks is that guy.
I have an issue with follow-up though, Jack, because I thought that Ricky Starks put on a banger against MJF. I thought he looked good in defeat. I didn't think Ricky Starks looked bad when he had that world title shot against MJF, and then there was nothing with the follow-up until we're kind of involving him in the storyline with Jay White. It's a matter of following up with some people. You can manage to make a star when they get even in defeat, and they're still not doing the best job they could with the follow-up. Ricky Starks should have remained in some kind of main storyline throughout after MJF.
Yeah, that's one of their issues is inconsistency. There's some stories where they tell the story, they follow through with it, and then there are other times where it just feels like that was it. It's over. You know what I mean?
I will say that's AEW, in my opinion, his biggest weakness is the pivot. Is once a story's done, getting to the next story, or if someone gets hurt or something that doesn't go as planned, getting them back up and running again. Because that's I always think the biggest weakness is the pivot. But yeah, if Ricky Starks, he's like one of the 5 or 6 guys I would say you build the company around him, because he's someone that stands out that no one else has. You can't build it at a performance center. He just has that it factor that's cool, that you could show your non-wrestling fans and know that he's cool. He wrestles great. I mean, yeah, make him a star. And I think that Jay White is someone who can pull the best out of him, because he seems like such a jerk that it's easy to want to see him get beat up by Ricky Starks. It's just, they could make magic with this, I think, if they really work with it, but we'll see. Also, we got Majestic Marie showing up in the chat.
Hey.
Always good to see you.
The best.
Slim Majors saying Ricky Starks should be one of the 4 pillars. Did you see his promo?
I was just gonna say, did you guys hear the comments he made about that? I was in agreement with him, actually.
Dude, I was like, show this on the show. Just clip that out.
That's another thing. They don't let him talk enough. He held his own against MJF in a promo battle. Why is this guy not talking more in AEW television?
If it wasn't for the fact that I don't want to see MJF lose that title for a little while yet, I would say go into this Ricky Starks and MJF storyline, but take your time with it, build it, let Ricky Starks get there, and then you want to see Ricky Starks be the guy to end this, because obviously people are picking people like Adam Cole and other names to be the ones to dethrone MJF. But you talk about pillars, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love his promo against not being a pillar. It was so well said.
I legitimately think they should cut that out and just put it on like Rampage and just be like, this is what Ricky Starks had to say about being a pillar, and
put him in a feud with one of them.
Yeah. And
let him feud with all of the pillars one by one and show why he should be, or why he's better than being a pillar. Like, I would love that, actually.
Yeah, you have him against like Sammy Guevara for now, and then you have him go to
Jungle Boy,
and then and then end with MJF, and he wins the title.
Right.
And that's when he wins the title, because at that point it'll have been another couple of months.
Because think about it, if you tell the story right with the pay-per-views, I mean, they do have a little bit of a busy time with pay-per-views in AEW World because we have, Forbidden Door, All Out, All In. But technically speaking, if you stretch them out, they only do a certain amount of pay-per-views, so you could really have him, like, it could be a while before he gets back to MJF.
Right.
100%. Yeah, and I think if you told me he's the guy that's going to take the title, I'd say, great, signed off. I'm happy, 100%. And so after that, we go to a three-way match: Trent versus Big Bill versus Swerve.
Why?
Well,
Why?
There is a reason why, actually. This one they did.
You
give
have
us
to
a
waste our time, Jack.
These were the last three. These three guys all cost each other in the Blackjack Battle Royal. So there was a reason. There was some.
How did they cost each other? Swerve was at the end, and Orange Cassidy pinned him. And nobody cost him nothing. Himself cost him something.
No.
Big Bill eliminated Trent, and then Big Bill and Swerve were working together, but Swerve backstabbed Big Bill and eliminated Big Bill. What was the story?
None of these guys eliminated themselves, right? Or should have. Oh, never mind. I digress. But no, exactly. What were the stakes? Were there any stakes other than the fact that these three were in that battle royal? They could have mentioned that, yes, they were in the battle royal, and the winner of this will eventually lead to an opportunity at Orange Cassidy's title, but wasn't even that.
It was, I'm sorry, it was random, and I thought that Swerve and Orange Cassidy had an incredible ending to that battle royal. I didn't care for the first 10 minutes of this. It was a cluster F, but my God, did they kill it in their little mini match that they had. And then you're going to do Swerve versus Orange Cassidy next week. Have them go in a promo battle here. Like, have them do something against each other. Again, what I told you, the momentum, this did nothing for Swerve. And by next week, I'm going to forget about what they did at Double or Nothing. It's kind of BS.
Swerve got a big win. How does that not help it? He beat two guys.
Please, Jack.
Two guys that only go by their first name.
The only thing I will say is he got a win in a creative roll up.
That's true. That's true. Fine, I'll give you both that. But nobody
yes,
cares.
it was a roll up, but at least it was creative and different.
There was a lot of very randomly made matches that had nothing to do with the fallout of Double or Nothing, and you had to admit that it was very random. Where you're like, why are these people facing each other? How did we get here?
I'm gonna say this one had a reason. I believe this one had a reason from the. I'm
wasting time.
I am dissenting here, but also I want to say, and I say this with all due respect to Trent, who I like, but I think Big Bill could be used in a much bigger role. I hate the name Big Bill too, but we work with what we got, and I personally think Swerve is another guy that you could build the company. I think he could be one of the big top guys in AEW. I think
we'll see what happens next week, and then you know how they feel about him.
Right.
I'm not saying. Look, I'll never say someone will or won't. There's too much in the. It's too hard to predict that kind of stuff. But didn't
you have a beautiful connection with Tony?
Oh
Khan?
yeah.
Didn't you guys look into each other's eyes and smile? Didn't you send him some signals
I looked in his eyes and I was like, "What about Swerve?" And he was like, "I can't talk about now due to contract stuff, but I will let you know soon." And I was like, "That's fair. That's fair." We had a long dialogue, me and Tony Khan, just through the eyes, just through the eyes.
Okay, Jack. Okay.
But I do think Big Bill I think you could put him in a bigger spot. I'm not saying, I don't think he could be their world champion tomorrow or something. I feel like he could be a great enforcer for somebody.
But I don't see him in that top tier. Let's put it that way.
Right. Oh no, I don't think he should be like MJF or anybody, but I think I'm trying to think of like a good example of someone who kind of like I could see him being like where a Solo Sikoa is now, where he's like the tough enforcer for the big guy. Like if he was MJF's like bodyguard kind of thing, where he's like,
that's how he started, but then MJF dropped him in like a week.
Yeah.
He's dropped a lot of bodyguards over the years, but I think Swerve, I really think Swerve is another one of those guys that stands out different, looks different, has a different style. I'm a big fan.
Shout out to Armando in the chat. See, I make things happen. I have eye connections in this press conference. Things happen, Jack. You're making nothing happen. I looked at Triple H. WWE came to Puerto Rico. You're not doing your job right.
Tremendous.
I was like, I was like,
that made my night.
I was like, I said to Tony with my eyes, I was like, "You're coming back to LA, right?" And he's like, "Chicago." I was like,
and you were like, close enough. Close enough.
Close enough. Oh man. So Chris Statlander video package to remind us who she is. We also get a match with her later where she beats Nyla Rose, kind of sets her back up with some more momentum as Taya Valkyrie looks on.
How did Nyla Rose get this match?
Well,
just asking for a friend.
They said that Chris Statlander was Nyla Rose's first defense as TBS champion. So Nyla Rose was Chris Statlander's
right. I mean, you were
defense.
saying that Swerve, Big Bill, and this other guy, they had a reason to be in the ring together. So why was Nyla Rose in the ring with Statlander, Jack? Make it make sense, please.
It was a tit for tat, as they say. Hey, you let me get the first shot, you get the first shot.
Oh, okay. All right, sure.
It could have been very simple and just say going into the night that Chris Statlander, the new TBS champion, is saying she will defend the title tonight. It's an open challenge to whoever pops out first and have her come out. That's all.
Yeah.
It's at least something other than, hey, Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander for the title.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about Chris Statlander as champion, Jimmy? Just overall thoughts. I don't think there's a whole lot to pull from this match. So just any overall thoughts from Chris Statlander.
Not a lot to pull from this match, that's for sure. But winning the title in the fashion that she did, baby faces don't win titles like that. It felt weird because I thought Jade was the heel, right? She just had a match, so the baby face comes out and beats her after she just had a match. That just felt,
I'm always cheering for Jade, but I get what you're saying.
I was just gonna say, not to go against you, Jimmy, because you're my favorite person, but after that entrance with her sorority sisters, oh my God, how can you not love Jade after that? Like, I kind of saw her as a baby, and I wouldn't be, the rumors is that she's taking some time off. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring her back as a baby face at this point.
I will say though, I get what you're saying, Jimmy. I'm just giving you a hard time there, but I will say I agree with the overall thought of it. I will say though, when Chris Statlander won, I popped out of my seat. I was like,
nobody
oh my God.
was expecting it, and
Right.
I will tell you one thing: going into this pay-per-view, there was a lot of predictability. Everything felt so predictable, except maybe the Anarchy in the Arena match. I will tell you what, Anarchy in the Arena, I didn't know which direction they were going to go. You created an unexpected moment that people will go like, oh, maybe I should buy this AEW pay-per-views because things that you're not expecting to happen. Am I okay with it? No, man. Jay oozes that it factor. And I'm hoping that this happened. We're going to keep her off TV. And when she comes back, she's going to be a baby face and going straight into the main title picture. If that's what happens, I'm okay with it. But I can't tell you how I feel about it until I see how we follow up with Jade.
I will say at the press conference, someone asked Tony Storm about Jade, and she had a great answer where she was like, didn't she just lose? So... yeah, that's
okay.
Oh, yeah, because
great.
Tony Storm just wins all of her matches.
What a great response.
Didn't you just beat an injured champion? Come on.
Both the women's championships of the pay-per-view changed hands under.
No, a lot of women's championships. We have Asuka is a new. There was a lot of changes in the women's division throughout the next few days. Like Ronda and Shayna, like there is a lot of changes we're gonna see in this women's division. I'm excited for it.
Right.
Transition. The Acclaimed came out. And they believe they're the people.
So necessary.
They believe. Yeah, I actually agree.
They didn't even rap.
Yeah.
This is where I agree with you. This was totally unnecessary. I'm glad to see them, but one, you got to rap every time. That's what you do. And two, and Jamie, I'm gonna throw this one to you because I hope you agree with me. Billy Gunn for AEW champion. I'm all in on Billy Gunn. That guy's big. He's jacked. He can talk. Billy Gunn, AEW
He's
champion.
80.
Let's
Stop
go.
it.
AEW champion.
Okay, I will say this about Billy Gunn because I know Billy Gunn very well. I'm just jealous because he looks so good for his age. He looks fantastic. But at the same time, Billy Gunn is not the guy to take out MJF. Yes, you can say that he needs a title. I'd like to see gold around his waist one more time. to me, it sounds more like maybe the Trios Championship is something they would go for, because I can't see Billy Gunn either beating Wardlow or MJF and winning their World Heavyweight Championship. So this might be something to set up a Trios title match. I don't know, but either way, it's a nice little recognition for Billy Gunn that his team thinks that he deserves gold one last time. But they could have rapped about that, because that's their gimmick. That's what gets them over. Do it. Yes, the scissor thing is one thing, but yeah.
Without the raps, I don't think any of it works.
Maybe they didn't let them rap because the last time they rapped, they put Dominic Mysterio over in AEW.
Yeah,
that was so good.
You want to talk about how over that whole thing is Dominic. I mean, even because I was there. Yeah, there was definitely it was. By the way, the crowd was loud there. It just didn't pick it up on microphones for some reason. Anyways, you can't rush art. So speaking of Dom, though, someone who got some Dom-like heat, Callis came out today.
Oh, so good.
He got nuclear heat as he came out to talk about Takeshita, and basically they're going to go after Omega. And, Issa, you say so good. I mean, walk us through it.
If you're a heel in wrestling, isn't this music to your ears? Isn't this money coming into your pockets? This is what you want to see. I haven't seen anybody generate this kind of heat in AEW, except for maybe MJF, and he's not generating that kind of heat anymore. He's becoming cool to cheer for. Christian, I think, will be the other person in AEW that I've seen get booed like this. But this is what you want to see. You turn him heel. I mean, the heat is more on him than it is on Takeshita, so we need to do a little bit more on that. Like, nobody cared that he was standing there. People were booing Don Callis, and I live for this. I love this industry, and this is what you should want your heels, to the reaction that you want them to get. He is almost at Dominic Mysterio level of heat.
Yeah, that was, Jimmy, that was incredible. Just because I knew he wasn't liked before, and I was thinking, oh, they're not going to like him. But I didn't realize how much people were going to hate him after turning on Kenny and everything he did. Don Callis has to be like the slimiest person on TV in pro wrestling.
No, he comes off that way, because sometimes art imitates life. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but Don can be, intentionally get on people's nerves, and he does that so well. And especially in today's wrestling, it's hard to get that kind of mega heat that him and guys like him and Dom Mysterio get right now. And for me, it's music to my ears when I hear it too. I'm saying, okay, these guys are doing it right. They know what they're doing. And Don, if I see you in Winnipeg one day, Pony Corral, my treat.
Ooh.
Are you turning heel on us, hanging out with Don Callis?
No, I just,
That's
he's
what Takeshita said.
Oh, he is an old friend, but then again, I don't want to get a souvlaki in my eye. You end up going there, never mind then.
Even Roman here is like, I hate that guy. Don Callis.
There you go.
But yeah, that was a treat to see. I'm glad he's getting such actions. Real quick thoughts on, we had Gates of Agony versus Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy. Really fun, hard-hitting matchup. It felt like Darby and Orange owed Gates of Agony some money the way they were beating those two guys up. But,
okay, but Jack, why?
Because it now.
Why did this match happen? You're trying to make all these matches make sense. Tell me, because we had Orange Cassidy successfully, retain his title, and Darby Allin was in a complete different main event storyline with the 4 pillars. So why are we getting this match?
Because Darby's going to do whatever. I don't know, but this is leading to more of that already. Swerve versus Orange Cassidy. We're going to get Orange Cassidy Swerve next week. That's what this is leading to. But it's going to be nasty. I think we're going to get some interference. We're going to get Sting coming out.
It is very hard to care about these matches without a storyline behind them.
This is the story.
There is no story. There was no story to 75% of the matches on tonight's show. Sorry, not sorry. It's the truth.
Yeah, and the other thing that drove me insane was, okay, Orange Cassidy gets the hot tag, and he's beating up these two monsters. I get the gimmick; the fans love the gimmick. With his hands in his pockets, he's getting the better of these two behemoths. It just, I'm sorry, I get what the gimmick is, but at the same time, it did nothing for me. It didn't make me go, ooh, that's kind of cool.
Well,
you have a pay-per-view in 3 weeks. Of course, we are expecting stories. You don't have 4 months to waste again before you got to book the next pay-per-view. So, no, I'm not going to let it go. The fact that they just gave us a bunch of random matches when you have to build up to Forbidden Door, which is 3 weeks from now. It doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to wait, a week before No, they're going to announce the matches the Friday before Forbidden Door, and then they're going to wonder why we're seeing half arena empty on pictures on Twitter. That's why.
That arena wasn't half empty, by the way.
The hard cam was kind of empty.
That's the hard cam. No one.
I was sitting on this hard cam side for Backlash, and let me tell you something. There was not an empty seat, my friend.
Let me put it to you this way.
That's because they thought Logan Paul was going to show up.
It happens where the hard camera side sometimes is a little light in the seats. Let's put it that way. But to get that shot on camera, somebody in the truck needs a stern talking to, at least in the bare minimum.
That's true. But
did you hear Pat McAfee talk about it? That was petty. Oh, my goodness.
Did he talk?
Yeah, he talked about it.
Oh,
yep.
On his show. He made fun of him.
Basically.
So we got a couple of quick promos that came through. We had Wardlow challenging Luchasaurus. We had MJF just talking about how great he is, and the Outcast.
Luchasaurus doesn't have a finger. Can he even wrestle?
He has fingers. He doesn't have thumbs. It was the thumbs that were bitten.
That was so freaking weird.
Oh.
And also, we're just going to lump in the Outcast, by the way, and they're having matches at House Rules. So just, I guess, thoughts on these things. MJF promo, great. Would have liked to see him in person, but I think that's fine. Outcast feels like it was just a promo for House Rules. Wardlow challenging Luchasaurus. I've said this before. No disrespect to Arn Anderson, but Wardlow talks just fine. I don't know why he needs Arn Anderson with him.
Guidance, I guess.
How many people is Wardlow going to get guidance from before that doesn't work, before he realizes he just needs to powerbomb people?
When's he going to get his steam back is what I'm more concerned with, because they had an opportunity with this guy. When you talk about dollar signs, this guy had dollar signs printed all over him, and that opportunity was missed.
Last man to pin MJF, if I'm not mistaken, and nobody's talking about it.
I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that Wardlow, they had a moment with Wardlow that they lost, that they now need to get back. And hopefully they do. I mean, he's defending the title, but it needs he needs some real steam more than just wins, you know?
Yeah.
Because Orange Cassidy's already 23 defenses deep in the I'm just going to defend this against everybody story. So Wardlow's not catching up with him in that. So he's got to figure out something else to do that's going to make him more interesting than just I'm going to beat people and challenge people.
Exactly.
AEW's in a tough spot where all of their champions are in they can't really lose right now situation, which then makes the rest of it tough to book.
Right.
You know, because you can't be like, every single match they have now, it's like, well, you can't beat Wardlow yet. You can't beat. Well, I guess Orange Cassidy could lose. He's defended a bit, but anyways, Hook. This was the segment that felt like it was thrown together to me, and that was Hook and I don't know how to pronounce the name, but Ingabra Nobles. It was the interview. They come out. They want opportunities. They attack Hook. Jungle Boy comes out and defends him, looking like we're going to get a tag team between these two. This was the part I've defended this show a lot today, but this is the part where I guess I get it, but this felt very random to me. Issa, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, Jungle Hook used to be a thing, months ago, and he hasn't been brought up or talked about in forever. Now all of a sudden, they're just gonna get back together. Ingobernables, Jack. Just FYI. Yeah. But I a lot of randomness tonight, and this felt like part of it. I think that I'm sorry. I think Jungle Boy came out looking the worst in this whole 4-pillar storyline, and I don't know that pairing him up with Hook is gonna do him any favors.
Yeah, the problem is because Hook is so cool that it's hard to look cool standing next to Hook, you know? And so like I think there's an ideology of like Hook's cool, let's put Jungle Boy next to him and they'll both look cool. But I think what really happens is like, well, Hook is really cool. Who's this other guy?
Because there's like two different versions of cool. When they're not together, I do think that Jungle Boy has a cool factor for a certain fan base. But when you're going to put them together, you're going to make people kind of see like, well, maybe Hook is cooler, you know, and that affects Jungle Boy.
I mean, I don't think there's many people with the traditional sense of cool that are going to beat Hook in the like cool guy department. I like Jungle Boy. I think them together, it makes me go, well, he's the cooler one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's the thing. And you had a team tonight that I don't want to say, and I hate using this term, and please forgive me for saying it this way, a team that's not as big in Darby and OC. And now you have another team that is, I don't want to say undersized, but not as big as most teams. So
even smaller than OC and Darby.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I don't know. It just, little too much of the same thing, if you know what I mean. One underdog tag team feels, like
right.
This can't be 20 and 10, right, Jimmy? Because they're undersized. So this is 5 and 10.
5 and 10.
Well, it's very.
I got you.
Well, and again, going back to the title situation, because when I see a new team, I think, where do they stand in the title picture? And I think, well, I can't see them winning the tag team titles anytime soon. So then what I don't know. It's hopefully they're trying to get something going, but I don't feel like the team they're facing has any momentum right now. And they're kind of starting from zero. So it feels like two teams starting from zero, trying to make something. Right. I mean, Jungle Boy was in the world title match, but he also lost, and this has nothing to do with what just happened. You know what I mean? So it's not like Cody losing at WrestleMania and then bouncing back into Brock Lesnar, where it's like that was a choppy thing too, but they made it work. But the point is, I don't know. It feels like two cold teams trying to work together. But we get to the main event. Jericho and Saraya going up against Adam Cole, Bebe, and Britt Baker, DMD. Outcast show up, try to get involved, but Sheeta stops them. Jericho gets beat up pretty bad in this one, and Adam Cole and Britt Baker get the win. Jimmy, what I don't like about these kind of tag team matches is whenever they do these mixed tag team matches, it always feels like this isn't going to be it feels like a bridge match. Like, I know this isn't the end. I know this is just going to lead on to another match. They're not going to say this is done. You know what I mean? And so like, I feel like as I'm watching it, I'm already not buying in because the stakes don't feel that high.
No,
you know what I mean?
I get exactly what you're saying. It they had that weird, I call it a weird ending. And I was surprised by it because we had the referee stoppage on Sunday at Double or Nothing. And here we go again. And this is here, get off my lawn guy again. But baby faces are the ones who don't submit and pass out because they refuse to say, I quit. By Jericho being the guy who said, you know what, I had to tap because he put an illegal hold on me, whatever you want to say, however he wants to explain it. But at the same time, by not submitting and passing out, that's more of a babyface finish for a babyface.
I will say in the arena, we had no idea what happened.
Right.
That was a weird finish.
And also the referee in their actions. Here we go, picking on the referees again. It didn't look like you, in your mannerisms, you have to present in a way that shows the audience what you're doing and helps tell that story. And I don't think that helped either. But that being said, tonight, it almost felt like it should have been the blow-off match for this rivalry. And he got the pin. Adam Cole got the pin, and you can easily say, well, he got the pin. This should be over, but it doesn't look like it is.
Yeah, like I said, it never ends like this, that's why I guess watching, I wasn't as into it. I got to say, I got to call out, I think it was Tim. Yeah, Tim Mickles. Yeah, sorry, Adam Cole has dropped terribly. Adam Cole was injured. He just came back. I mean, and he's been winning since he's come back. Let's not say he's dropped. That's a little unfair.
But he has. This feud has been horrible. What happened at Double or Nothing was horrible. This was boring. And I don't know that he would even win this match as if it wasn't for his girlfriend saving his ass every time.
But that's the point. Like, they're supposed to be working together. That's like saying I don't know if FTR would win if it wasn't for Dax helping Cash out.
He's a singles wrestler, Jack. He's not in a tag team with his girlfriend. That's not how this works. Please, that's a horrible example.
They were in a tag team today.
Today because she's probably tired of saving his ass, so she's like, we might as well just tag team together. Come on, they had Brittany save everybody in every show for the last 3 weeks. Not just Adam Cole. She's like the superhero of this show. She saves for what's her name? Sheeta. She saved everybody. This is just what we do. This match was horrible. There was nothing about it that made me care. There was nothing about it that made this feud advance. Adam Cole came back. He had his first match, and then they put him in this freaking feud, and it has sucked. And what happened at Double or Nothing made it even worse. As soon as they announced the mixed tag, nobody cared because of how it ended at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't like the end at Double or Nothing either, so I'm not defending that one. Like I said, Jimmy, do you think this is over, or do you think they're going to move on to Forbidden Door stuff, or was this the blow off?
It should have been, but I don't think it is, because even after the match, you saw that Jericho was hot, throwing the chair in and all that sort of stuff. And how does Saraya play into this? You know what I mean?
I think he's going to have a feud with Britt after this.
She's been feuding with Fitch. She's been feuding with Britt since she debuted at Grand Slam like 5 years ago. Yeah. That's all she's done since she's been here. We're done with it. We're tired.
Yeah.
So who should Britt feud with?
Jade, anybody, but anybody in this. I don't even know what's their name. What's the name of this freaking feud? Like I don't even know.
The Outcast.
The Outcast. Anybody that is not in the Outcast. That's where we put Britt Baker with.
I think she should feud with Jericho. She put him in the lockjaw. I'm ready for it. Put him in the lockjaw. I want to see Britt Baker versus Jericho. Book it, as they say.
I will say my favorite part in this whole match was when she had him in the lockjaw.
Okay.
That was actually
that
really
doesn't
good.
do Adam Cole any favors.
There's the other thing that I forgot about this match too. There, Jericho had Adam Cole in the walls of Jericho, and Britt gets up on the apron. She takes out the glove nice and slowly, and she's putting it up. Your husband, it looks like he's ready to tap out, and she's like taking her time, putting on the glove. You know what? Why not, have her pop up on the apron, pull her hand out from behind her back, have the glove on already, and charge into the ring and do.
It gave me flashbacks of when Jeff Hardy came back and started dancing instead of saving Matt Hardy.
Yeah, because.
That's more important. Getting that glove and getting the camera shot, that's more important, Jimmy.
Yep.
It reminds me of it happened on Monday when I think Finn Balor blind tagged Damian Priest, but then let him get superplexed before he came in. I was thinking if I watched it later, I'd be like, bro, why didn't you help me? You let me just get beat up so you could sneak in. That wouldn't be okay. I would not be happy about that. That is,
I love that.
That is funny. I will say that you guys are right, but that is one of those things I give it a pass because I get they're being dramatic and stuff, but it is one of those he could tap out any second, and if he doesn't, it still hurts. Like it's not okay.
Right.
It
didn't feel like there was a sense of urgency. Let's put it that way.
But I guess this one, going into it, I don't feel like I was really that hyped for it because of the setup. So maybe I'm looking at it with different glasses here. But in any case, that's the show. We got through it. We talked about it. CM Punk. Who'd have thought?
I mean, come on, it was the worst kept secret. The first time it was the worst kept secret, and this time, once again, at least this time they announced it. The last time they let us go into it when we knew what was going to happen.
Right. Yeah, it's so now we'll see. There is a lot of interest for that happening now. But as we sign off, before we go, thank you to everyone who was in the chat. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Jimmy, final thoughts, and where can the world find you online?
Oh, it wasn't all bad. There was some good stuff. It's just that, again, the problem with AEW is the little things and stuff that needs to be cohesive in telling a story from week to week, as opposed to like Issa said tonight, a lot of stuff felt random, especially coming out of a pay-per-view. You know what I mean? You talk about that battle royal, but that battle royal planted a lot of seeds that they could have, kind of sort of watered a little bit tonight. And that's the only thing. There was some entertaining stuff, but at the same time, could have been more entertaining. Let's put it that way, coming out of a pay-per-view. And as far as myself, you can find me here on Mondays and Wednesday nights. You can find me doing the Roughing It Up podcast with my good brother in stripes, Brian Hebner, and our host, RJ, who this week we have like Mr. Anderson Kennedy. And we got to talk to him, get back into it. Yes, there we go. We had a blast talking to him this week. And of course, you can catch my Rough and Rants every Monday to Friday. And yes, I do my critiques, but it's not to tear down. It's to help tighten screws from my point of view.
Actually, it's in Chicago. I was going to say prediction: will CM Punk get booed or cheered? But it's in Chicago.
Yeah,
so,
come on.
Yeah. Never mind. Issa, final thoughts on the show, and where can the world find you online?
Yeah, I mean, there's always good wrestling in AEW. There was good wrestling, but there was a lot of things that I didn't feel like I care about. And AEW is in a situation which is very rare for them, where they don't have time to waste. We have another pay-per-view coming in a couple of weeks. Usually we have months. So a show like this is excusable after a pay-per-view. Not this time. We have Forbidden Door is literally knocking at the door. So we need to start building for it. WWE immediately started setting up qualifying matches for Money in the Bank. And Money in the Bank is further out than, Forbidden Door. So let's just tighten up the knots and start building up for Forbidden Door. You can find me here on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You guys can also find me on my own YouTube channel, NYC Demon Diva. You guys can find me at Lucha Libre Online, Yellow Jackets Buzz, Know Your News. I'm everywhere, basically. Just trying to take over the world.
Cool. All over the place. And I want to thank everyone one more time for being in the chat. Again, like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks to Armando, JT098, Killer, a Demon 669. Haven't seen you in the chat on Mondays, KOD. Secular Belt, Tim Nichols, Jeroy J, Armando, Huffman, of course, and Clay Ford, Rocky, and everyone else. Majestic Marie, Ricky. So many people in here. How come I don't see Swerve? How come I don't see you on Mondays? Huh? Anyways. They're
here for the pink. I'm surprised they stayed because you didn't follow the rules.
That's that's my sales pitch. Huh? Why aren't you here? Okay, so you can find me on Mondays, Wrestling Inc. I'm Jack Farber. You can find me at Real Jack Farber across all social media. Also going to be chat with Raj tomorrow here on Wrestling Inc. We have an interesting interview lined up, but I'm told I'm not supposed to say who it is because I guess it's not confirmed yet or something. It's not a wrestler. I'll tell you that right now. It's not someone who works in wrestling, but someone who's adjacent to wrestling. I guess I'll put it there. So temper your expectations. It's Tony Khan. He's going to look me in the eye and you're going to see the eye conversations. In any case, make sure to follow at Wrestling Inc. for all your news and all the shows. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the Thursday show, Friday for the SmackDown Rampage show. Until next time, have a good one.